my name's Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. So let's start off by saying, yes, I am wearing a shirt today, in case you're wondering. Awkward laughter. I hope you guys are all very good. I had a great month in March. Was that what month just happened? Yes. And I watched a lot of movies, so I didn't really have much time for other things, but I know a lot of you guys just come to these favorites to see that. First off though, I would like to shout out a couple of things. First, I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk about this if you follow me anywhere on social media, but Dean and I are going to Scandinavia in September. And I'm so excited because now we've booked our flights, so it has to happen. So we're going to Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. If you live in any of these countries and you have suggestions for me, please let me know. Please, please, please let us know. I would love to check out something like unique. If there's any curiosity museums, things like that, any must-sees, any horror-related things, but also just anything that I should see. And that's including like restaurants or anything like that. So please let me know. We would love your recommendations. Second off, I hate doing this, but I want to say to you guys, I do have a Patreon and I don't really talk about it very often. I think I made a video like 2 years ago when I started it. I know a lot of people are pushing Patrons down everyone's throats, so by all means, if this does not interest you, don't worry. I just wanted to mention it quickly here because I know a lot of people actually don't know I have a Patreon, and when they figure out that I do, they're very surprised by it, but I do have one. The link's always in the down bar. I just never really reference it. So if you do want to support me and get to know me a little bit better, that's definitely the place for that. Tiers start at $2. I'll leave it right there. Let's get on to the movies. So at the start of the month, I watched Wow, Winchester. Wow, that feels like so long ago. I did do a come with me for my patrons, not intentional shout out. I thought it was a lot better than what everyone was saying and all the feedback on it. I think it was very hyped up, so a lot of people weren't too keen on it, but it does have an Aussie in there, and I just thought it was like a really cool movie. I'm not really sure why people hated it so much or disliked it. I gave that 3 stars out of 5. I actually thought it was it's not like 4 stars, but it's a pretty good movie. I then watched Dreamhouse, which is so funny because recently I went to watch this film and now I realize I've already seen it. That's how forgettable it was. I need to look inside to see what it actually is about. I seriously hardly remember this film. It seems like a really bad ripoff of Stir of Echoes, and you think that it has a really good cast. It has Daniel Craig, Naomi Watts, but I wouldn't recommend it because I really don't remember it that much. I know it was at the start of the month. Wow, does that feel like a long time ago? But it is on Netflix, so I just give it a miss. I then watched Inconceivable, which I thought I forgot what this film is, and then I realized this is the one with Nicolas Cage. I actually was into like a cheesy movie for the night, and you guys know I like stalker, obsession films, and this is definitely one of those. It is all cheese. It's very like a Christian film. It is a fun, cheesy film, but you guys would all hate it, so don't bother with it. Another one that I believe is on Netflix or on Stan, which is the Australian streaming service. I then finally watched Cult of Chucky. I feel like a lot of people gave this a lot of leeway, and it didn't make any sense to me. There were so many plot holes. It was kind of all over the place. It's so fun seeing Chucky again, as usual, but this one didn't really make it for me. I just felt like it was just a bit sad. I really preferred Curse of Chucky to this film. Obviously, this one has the same characters and it's like very closely related to that one, but I felt like it was all over the place and I had to like re-look at a few scenes because I was like, what did I miss? But it was just missing a lot. I then watched Stephen King's Dolores Claiborne, and this has Kathy Bates in it, and oh my god, I can't believe I hadn't seen this film before. It is amazing. It is one of those films that definitely tie everything around. Some people say it's a prequel to Gerald's Game, but it's kind of just like in the same hemisphere, if that makes any sense. But I really, really love this movie. I love a movie that can make you have the perception about someone being some way and then completely switch it by the end of the film. And I know a couple of films that do that really well. This one does that the best. This was definitely an eye-opener for me and the best film probably I watched the month. I really recommend it. I think it's on Netflix as well. I then rewatched The Black Coat's Daughter. If you guys want to see what I thought about that, I did a review on that. I then felt very sorry for my boyfriend and decided to take him to go see a superhero movie, or rather he pulled me, dragged me to go see a superhero movie. I watched Black Panther. It was alright. It's a superhero movie. I'm not a huge fan. There was aspects that I thought were great, and then there was action. So for what it wasn't bad, but I did give it a 2.5. Then I watched The Strangers. I really wanted to recap the original before seeing the newer film, and I really liked it the second time round a little bit more. I thought it was a bit ordinary, and I always related it to Funny Games and Intruder films, but I felt like it had definitely a different vibe, and Liv Tyler in it is just a phenomenal character. Her performance really carries the film, and I think I missed that the first time around, but I don't need to tell you guys that. You've all seen The Strangers. I then watched 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I was very intrigued by this film. I was intrigued because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be about, but I loved the film because I loved the story of justice and, you know, eye for an eye. And I feel like a lot of people miss the meaning behind the film, and they were just looking for a true crime or a crime or a drama, and they missed the story behind the characters and the redeeming qualities. I really like this film. As I said, I watched this in the outdoor cinema actually with my dog and my other friend Emma, and that was really fun. But I can see why this film had a lot of people talking. I just thought that they were talking about the film overall being a great story, but it's definitely a groundbreaking and different way to tell a story, so I thought that was really interesting. I then watched Strangers, Pray at Night. If you haven't seen my review, definitely check that out. I had so much fun watching that film. I think it is a great slasher, something that you never thought I'd say. Speaking of though, I think that got me in the mood to rewatch some slashers. So I rewatched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is one of my favorite slashers. I don't really talk about it that often. I feel like it's been talked about enough. I think it's an amazing film. It is terrifying, it is weird, it is kooky, and it's fucked up. I then watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre the beginning. I think because this one was on Stan or Netflix, it was just easy accessible, and I clicked on it after watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre original. And I don't know if I've seen that version before or I've just forgot it on purpose, but it is as bad as people say it is. I'm sure you guys know a lot more about Texas Chainsaw Massacre than me, so I don't even need to get into that. I then watched Night of the Demons with my patrons in our monthly hangout. What a fucked up film. I don't think that this film's very good at all. It is one of those cult classics. People think it's a cult classic. It is terrifying in the way that the nipple and it's a lot, and the story is just bizarre and all over the place. If you like some 80s cheese, this might be a film for you. But if you like movies like I like, probs, just like save your time. I then watched Grabbers. I did this on a live stream with Gory B, which was on Horror Addict. It was for St. Patrick's Day actually, and I don't think that we ever really watched it. We were talking the whole time, but I do love this film, and I believe I have a full review on it. I remember actually giving it away back in the day, so I do have a full review on it on my channel. I think it's a great film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's an Irish flick about aliens coming to this small island in Ireland, and it's got to do with alcohol, how they win. It's amazing. Then Annihilation, I did a review on this one if you want to check it out. I think this film was fantastic. Natalie Portman was amazing in this film. It is something that is on Netflix in most countries. Sorry, America and Canada. But definitely check it out if you can. If you haven't yet and it's not available in your country, please keep an eye out for it, because the hype, it is real and it's worth it. I then watched Demon House twice, and I did a review on this recently, talking about why I watched Demon House twice. It just shook me to the core, really. I know a lot of people reacted to my review saying like, how can you drink the Kool-Aid? But sometimes it's nice to like watch a film and not like get sucked in by just the presenter. Zach Bagans is who I'm talking about. He wasn't the deciding factor for me, and I think a lot of people got confused by that, even though I did mention in the review that it was because I knew about the story, and so it was kind of me going in and looking at straight interviews from people that I had only read about. I guess more concrete support for those first interviews, seeing that they're real people and it's not like paraphrased at all, was very interesting. I then watched Living Space, which is an Australian horror movie, and I will have some info coming up on that very shortly. I did talk to the director, and you guys are gonna love that video. I then watched Wild Things. This is the first time I ever seen this film. I kept seeing like, I guess this is like a very pop culture reference, or especially like with Cruel Intentions and like The Craft and things like that. And especially with like Neve Campbell, like I just keep seeing like gifs and things, gifs or gifs on the internet. So I always was wondering about it. And then I was like, well, I've never fucking seen this movie. I watched it, so many plot holes, but it was an enjoyable ride. I love the 90s. So for me, it's like very nostalgia. It's like a great nostalgic film, but for plot-wise, what the fuck? It doesn't make any sense, but it's interesting. I don't know. I love it for like the cheese. I then watched The Endless, which you would have seen my review on. If you haven't, please check that out. It's a film by the same man who did Spring and Revolution, and Spring is like one of the most underappreciated, underrated horror films that people just don't talk about. If you haven't seen Spring, check that out. But also check out my review for The Endless. I then watch A Quiet Place, which you would have seen. I had a spoiler-free review of me going there on that night. And then I also have a spoiler review, which a lot of you guys wanted. So I gave that to you guys as well. And then I ended the month by watching Thelma and Louise. Believe it or not, I had never seen this film. And I saw it on Netflix and I was like, man, I just gotta watch this and see what it's like. And I was very surprised by it. I think that the film obviously said a lot about feminism back in like 1991, but there wasn't really a film like this before that, and it's very disjointed and all over the place. But it does have some redeeming qualities in the second half. It was an interesting ride. What can I say? A fucking Brad Pitt. It's just weird. It's a weird film, but it's also like beautiful at the same time. I like how they have these really shocking things happen to them and they just kind of brush it off, and I think it says more today about what we used to think back then than it does in the movie, if that makes sense. I recommend to anyone who wants to watch the classics and still hasn't watched it, but by all means it wasn't like a favorite for me, but it was an interesting watch. Okay, so for the month, I recommend, if you haven't written down any of these films, write down these ones. A Quiet Place, you're not gonna forget that one. Demon House, Annihilation, Strangers Pray at Night, and Dolores. But if you still haven't watched The Black Coat's Daughter and Grabbers and Spring, check those ones out too. On to documentary series. I watched Wild Wild Country. This is a Netflix series that is a documentary 6-parter. The reason I got onto this so quickly is because Mark Duplass and his brother, you guys know I love Mark Duplass from Creep, but him and his brother, I believe, were the executive producers for this documentary series, and he tweeted out like, everyone has to watch it, and then I watched it, and then my mind was blown. This, I think, will very much interest all of you true crime lovers. It is about a religious group or a cult that follow a guru in India, and then they move from India to Oregon in America and take over a town, and it is chilling. The interviews are kind of like never done before. They've never really recapped the story, and they say at the start that the story is just so insane that no one would ever believe that it actually happened, and I can tell you that's 100% real. Like, I cannot believe all this shit that happened in this small town, and it will blow your mind. And Sheila is one of my favorites. She is a good bad character. I love the fact that this film showed both parties, their bad sides and their good side. It was very unbiased, and I think that's really hard to do a documentary that doesn't push you in a certain direction or have a certain agenda. It just wanted to tell the story from whoever was there, and I think it did really well of doing it. Please check it out. If you're not hooked by episode 2, something may be wrong with you because every episode I'm just like, how can this get any more insane? And it does. It's a beautiful series. It's a fucking interesting story, and I advise you to go watch it now. Netflix. Another thing I really wanted to talk about was this book that I'm reading, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm so bad at reading, and a lot of people always ask me to read books, but I just have no time. Like, I work full time, and then I do this, and then I'm trying to like do other stuff on the side as well, and then I'm trying to like live. So reading is low on my list, and I'm trying to make more time to read. I'm trying, guys. But what I have started reading is Brain on Fire, and I love this book. If you know my friend Vanessa Jaboski, when I told her that I was reading it, she was like, this is the best book. I hope that you really like it. And I'm like, if she likes it, then it should be great. But it is an amazing book. It's about a woman who works at the New York Post, and then she has like a mental breakdown, and it really goes through her whole process of how it slowly comes to be, and she slowly ends up in like a psych ward. So it is very interesting, and if you're into that kind of psychology behind stuff, it's written in first person. So I'm loving this. It's really easy to read. I know I should have finished it by now, but it's super easy to read, and I'm hoping I really finish it this month. But if you're looking for something new to read, that's what I'm attempting at the moment. Other than that, I really don't have that much more for you this month, guys. I spent a lot of the month working and sorting out our trip. And other than that, I haven't been spending much money because obviously I've been saving for my travel. But I hope that this was an interesting favorite, or what I watched this month. For your monthly mission though, you didn't get out of it that easy. I want you guys to let me know the most underrated film that no one ever talks about that you absolutely love. A film that sticks with you, you know, and you're really surprised that no one's ever touched on before. This is for my own benefit because I want to watch it, but it's also for everyone in the comments. And maybe if you see the comment that you agree with, give it a thumbs up, and then that way you have a whole heap of suggestions down there, but make sure you leave one. I hope you guys had a good month of March, and I hope you're having an awesome April. Wow, I love you guys so much, and I hope you're having a great day. I'll talk to you very soon. Stay spooky. Bye.